What's up guys, welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where you can find Reddit posts about some completely oblivious people. So make sure to subscribe for more Reddit stories and let's get right into it. I don't work here, and a venomous manager tried to write me up for it. Oh boy, I'm tired of being recognized. I live in a relatively small podunk college town, with 3 grocery stores, a dying mall, and a slightly decent downtown. Because I work in one of those grocery stores and a pharmacy, I'm often identified when I'm out and about, and for some reason I just look like I work there, wherever this mythical there is. This took place a few years ago, and since the manager is no longer with the store, I think I can write it up without retribution. I've got long hair, a beard, and I'm a bit on the heavy side, and I normally wear rock t-shirts and a leather biker jacket when I'm not at work. I wear this like armor, as I'm actually very passive and I don't want to be bothered when I'm out and about. I look tough, but there's nothing tough about my marshmallow soul. I've just finished watching a movie at our local dying mall, having gone myself since I just wanted to get away for a while. And I'm currently wearing a Doctor Who hoodie and jeans, hair down, and a Guns N' Roses t-shirt. As I'm exiting the theater, I hear that dreaded voice, the entitled call of the snooty customer. Hey you! I turn around and see your average soccer mom, with bleach blonde hair and a purse big enough to brain a camel, carrying a large collection of trash. She's holding the trash with one hand, her struggling child with the other, and stares at me. I don't want to believe what's about to happen, but I steel myself. Yes, I said. Throw this away. No please, no asking, just a demand. I glance to the trash can that's only 5 feet from where she's standing. Why? I ask. You work at such and such big box store. You're used to this. Amazing. She knows I don't work there, but she still thinks I'm put on this earth to serve her. I just roll my eyes and turn away, scooting towards the bathroom. Sorry ma'am, gotta pee. And I do just that, taking a quick leak and a long time washing my hands. By the time I exit, the woman and her kid are gone. I figure that's all that's going to happen with this. Just some entitled person who thinks that because I work in retail, she can just treat me like an indentured servant. Oh boy, was I wrong. 2 days later, I'm back at work, cleaned up, hair in a ponytail, in uniform, just doing my thing, slinging drugs at the pharmacy. When one of our most hated managers shows up. Let's call her a GLaDOS, mostly because the antagonist of Portal is how she's always seemed to me. Passive-aggressive, snobby, and more than happy to toss her weight around. OP, would you come with me please? I'm a bit shocked, since I've not been in trouble with this job for over 5 years, and my mind immediately starts spinning through anything I may have done in the past week or so. GLaDOS takes me back to the manager office, picks up some papers, and has a seat. OP, I had a complaint about you the other day from a customer. I sink down, trying not to shake with panic. What have I done? She says you were very rude to her at the movie theater the other day and refused to help her. Silence. I just blink a few times at GLaDOS. I'm sorry, what? GLaDOS repeats the accusation. When you work for this company, you represent us, even when you're not on the clock. Now I'm only going to give you a coaching, but I want you to watch what you do in the future, she said. No, I respond. GLaDOS looks back at me in shock. Did I just say no to her? What do you mean no? I said no. I'm not taking a coaching for something that happened off the clock. I lean forward, folding my hands in my lap and glaring at her. Why are there no other managers here? Why is my pharmacy manager not here? Shouldn't he be here when I'm being coached by someone that's not even over my department? Speaking of which, where's our department manager? Could you show me where in the Code of Conduct handbook it says I can't refuse to clean up after someone when I'm not on the clock? Doesn't it say in the training videos we watch when we start, not to work off the clock? GLaDOS is doing her best impression of a gaping fish by this point, eyes wide and staring back at me. I don't think she was expecting the happy-go-lucky nerd in the pharmacy to take such a hard line and not just roll over to her casual bullying. I stood up and opened the door. If you want to take it up with my manager, please do. But do know that if I hear anything about this, I'll take this all the way to the store manager, your boss, corporate if I have to. I left, shaking with anger. I had heard others in the store complain about this manager before, and how she'd try to toss her weight around, but I'd never had it happen to me before. I don't know if the original customer was a friend of GLaDOS or she thought she'd get some revenge, but I never heard anything else on the matter. 2 months later, GLaDOS was let go in a store restructuring. Every other manager was shifted or reassigned, but she was the only one to be shown the door. "Oh good, you're doing inventory." This happened a couple of years ago, but I still laugh when I think of it. I live in the southeastern US. I work for a large municipal fire department, and at the time worked as a fire inspector. This meant that I was in uniform on my way to work and of course on my way home. There is a grocery store just up the street from my house, and I would frequently stop there to pick up milk or something for dinner on my way home. The company colors are green, so naturally the store uniform is a green polo shirt and green apron. One day I was in an aisle with my back turned to the aisle as I compared two different products. Nothing that millions of other people haven't done and don't do daily. In the background I hear, "Oh good, you're doing inventory." I don't really pay attention to it, as I was doing my own thing. From behind me I hear a pointed, "Sir, are you doing inventory?" along with an exaggerated throat clearing. I turn around to find a lady holding a can of something or other. I look at her and said, "Ma'am?" because I wasn't sure I had heard her correctly. Mind you, and as I said above, I was in full uniform. That consists of work pants, boots, a gray polo shirt with a Maltese cross that is our emblem on the front, and Sesame Street-sized letters on the back stating, "Such and such fire department." If that wasn't enough, I had a radio strapped across my chest, with my day-glow yellow radio and hand mic that was at the time dispatching a multi-apparatus call. She looked me right in the face and said, "You're doing inventory. You're out of whatever product she was holding." I said, "Ma'am, I don't work here. I work for the fire department." She gave me a semi-blank stare and wandered off. Sometimes I wonder and worry about the citizenry I serve. When my brother almost got kidnapped. Both my brothers and myself were homeschooled, and we didn't have regular school hours, so I've lived this sub as a kid. Being around town at Costco, the YMCA, and other places during school hours, and running into well-meaning adults who always assumed my brothers and I were playing hooky. Normally it ends with a simple explanation, and sometimes we had to go grab our mom to validate our story to whatever adult had stopped us. This time was a little different. My little brother really struggled communicating verbally as a small child, and he was constantly getting into trouble. So I spent a lot of time watching over him as protective older brothers tend to do. For context, he was about 7 and I was 9. So one day we were at a park. We're actually on a homeschool group field trip, so there is a large group of children and adults. My little brother and myself head off exploring on our own. What we didn't realize is that the park shared a patch of grass with a grade school. Cue the teacher. I can still remember sitting at the swing when suddenly I hear my brother yelling and I hear some lady screaming. So I start running. What did he do this time? I rushed over and my brother is in tears and being dragged by a female teacher from the adjoining public school. Apparently, her class was using the grass field and was heading in from recess. The teacher had assumed my brother was a student and grabbed him when he wouldn't go with her to the school. I immediately tried to tell the lady we were homeschooled. We didn't belong to her school and she should release my brother. The lady told me her name was Mrs. Davis and not to speak to her without respect. I was pretty stunned. I didn't attend public school until high school, and most adults were at least polite when talking to me. This lady was something else. She continued to pull at my brother's arm very forcefully, hurting him even, and I looked around and couldn't find any homeschool moms or older homeschool children who could assist. Several of the public school children started to pipe up that they didn't recognize me or my brother, and maybe we were telling the truth. My brother is in hysterics, and the lady starts to think that maybe I am playing hooky too. She starts asking questions. Who is my homeroom teacher? I told her the truth that I didn't have one. I was homeschooled. Please let my brother go. She reaches for my hand and I slap it away. She gave me a death glare and starts ranting. I was 9, so I didn't catch all of what she said, but she was in full meltdown about my disrespect. I was starting to legit freak out, too. I didn't know where she was going to take my brother, and seeing him so distressed triggered some reptilian defense mechanism within me that I couldn't let this happen. I look around again and I still don't see anyone. The lady said nasty stuff to me, but now she's taking the class and my brother back to the school. My time is running out. Then I spot a police officer. One of those school resource officers that walks around the grounds. During this whole encounter, I've been polite but forceful talking to this lady. And now seeing the policeman, I have no shame as a little boy, and let myself start to cry and act terrified like I'm running from Pennywise. I run about 50 yards to the policeman. He sees me and meets me halfway. I am screaming the whole way. She is kidnapping my brother. That lady is stealing my brother. Please save him. I didn't realize when I turned on the waterworks, quite a few people at the park took notice. As I am hurrying back to my brother with the police officer, I see my older brother and my mother heading over quickly from the other side of the park. Someone had seen me and knew who my mother was. Me and the cop reached the teacher at the same time my mom and my older brother did. My mom isn't shy. She grabbed my brother from the teacher. She screamed, "Who the f*** do you think you are? Touch my child again and see what happens." I have never heard my mother curse before or afterward, except the day her mother died. The policeman stepped between my mother and the teacher. The old bag defended herself, insisting she had just confused my brother for another student. The policeman convinced my mother to just take me and my brothers and walk away. My mom is kind of one of those ladies that runs local communities. She ran the local church women's ministry, ran the homeschool group, and so on. She wasn't one to be ignored. She also holds insane grudges and doesn't forget. She found the principal Mrs. Davis worked for. She got a written apology from Mrs. Davis, from the principal, from some state education official, and God knows who else. She also got a promise from the principal that no homeschool children would be harassed at that park going forward. My brother and I went back a few times on additional homeschool field trips, but we stayed away from the swings. Too much trouble. No can do, they said everyone. This one happened to me a couple years back. I was down in Georgia camping for a spring vacation, and happened to be wearing a nice red polo shirt and wandered into Target to pick up a few gifts for my family back up in Canada. While perusing the back shelves, a harried-looking Target manager runs up to me and tells me to get in the back. I try to tell him, "Hey, I don't work here," and he interrupts me with a, "I don't care what you're doing, get in the back," and basically dragged me into the back area and over to one of the office conference rooms for a presentation from a regional exec. There were a lot of people in that office, and it seemed like that Target had called in everyone who would normally be off shift into the office for this meeting. So we had a lot of people that some managers had never interacted with before. I'm guessing that's why I got dragged in. It was very obvious to me that anyone I made eye contact with knew I didn't work there, since they were all laughing at my bewildered "what the hell am I doing here" look, and my wearing the wrong pants. Then the exec rolled in and ran an hour-long presentation about some variety of performance metrics, some new fast business action plan, or something that I tuned right out. I probably could have left if I actually made a real effort, but it would have caused a stink and definitely made the store look inept in front of their big boss, and I'm not that much of an a-hole. Also, the meeting was catered, so I took advantage of the free lunch. After it was done, we all filed out. I headed off to buy my purchases, and the cashier glanced at my shirt and gave me the employee discount. Edit. Just to clarify, I was being Canadian when I said I was dragged. The manager didn't physically drag me in. He glared at me and kept telling me to hurry up, and so I was bound by social convention to follow him and see whatever hilarity this was going to lead to. Even if this manager isn't totally familiar with the faces of all of his employees, due to shift differences and whatnot, it's still pretty funny that he was in such a rush that he didn't even bother to check if OP was actually an employee. Just, "Oh, red shirt? Must be a worker. Come on, let's go." At least OP got a free meal out of it. And that's all for today, friends. Thank you for watching. And as always, if you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like. And of course, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel as well. So have an awesome day, everyone. See you next time.